Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here for Unity with Color Combos with Crystal. Today's color combo, it is a bright of all our primary colors. We're going to be using the gorgeous stamp set every single day along with the sentiment. Today we celebrate you. We're using primary colors like I mentioned, using Zig watercolor markers. You can use watercolor papers and watercolor markers, a brush, your watercolor friendly ink, just black, and then I am using 2 pieces of cardstock or watercolor cardstock, whatever you have. So let's get started. We are going to begin by stamping up the gorgeous floral from every single day. We're going to start on the piece of paper that we had cut, and it's just big enough to fit most of our florals as I wanted to use all of our primary colors. Next, we are going to stamp the same floral off to the right, trying to get all the flowers onto that piece of card base, and then we're going to start filling in the the other pieces that have not been stamped with the same florals. Just feel free to turn over and get the leaves and then ink up the other corner and repeat onto the other corner. There is some white spots, and that's okay. We're going to do let that white and black come through. We are going to begin with our largest floral. We're going to be using red, and then I have put some of that watercolor marker onto an acrylic block and then grabbing that so I can create the shading and the variances in color. By coloring first onto this paper, it's going to create the darkest and it's going to create the shadow, which is really what people like to see when you're doing single colors for one image. Now we're going to move on to using a different color. We're going to dry up our brush and just keep coloring the entire floral. I wanted to use this, just the primary colors, and the reason why is because everybody's has them. If you do not have watercolor markers, you can use your watercolor pads of color or inks that are water-based, and again, just put the ink pad onto a piece of acrylic and then grab it with your brush. We're going to start with doing the shadow using that blue and then coming in with just a tiny bit and filling in those shadows and flickering out to create those gorgeous petal looking. We're going to move on to the next, which is going to be a yellow, and this one's a little tougher to see, but we're going to repeat the same process by creating the shadow with the marker itself and then coming in with the color on our acrylic block and coloring that. It makes it really easy. I like to do this instead of Copic coloring. It just goes a lot faster with a lot less shading. We're going to move on to the leaves. I've added that green to all the leaves and the stems, and then just grabbing that color from the acrylic block and adding that to the leaves. Once we're done coloring, I'm going to add a little bit of that yellow into the center, and we are going to place a sentiment strip. To create the sentiment strip, I have my embossing ink. Going to stamp that stamp set on, place it on the piece of black cardstock, grab our embossing gun, cover the entire thing with white embossing powder, and then heat set. We're going to trim that embossing into a little piece, just a little strip. We're going to place our colored cardstock over the black and white, and we're going to match the outlines of the flowers and then stick the sentiment over it. And that does it. Thank you so much for joining me on Color Combos with Crystal. We're using primary colors today. Thanks so much.